people in government of Plateau State. We hope that this is tended to with utmost urgency and security operatives get to the bottom of the menace. Now, on the Morning Crossfire today, our conversation, a lot is tilted, well, some would say still within the resolution, but one particular item would come up among many other issues that we need to discuss politically in Rivers State. And importantly, what are we expecting next year? I mean, the New Year's just around the corner. And with what we have seen in this state politically, especially in most recent times, I'm sure a lot of people are anxious, anticipating and waiting to see how things will play out. Plenty of analysis, different speculations have been made. I hope my guest will do justice to telling us what he feels, what he thinks, and what he also is expecting. This morning, join me, let's welcome in the studio, former Commissioner for Housing, Rivers State, Dr. Gift Worlu. So you're welcome and good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Rivers people. And I should say, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance.
All right. If you were still commissioner, I would have said maybe one house for the Christmas.
Yeah. But that will still happen by God's grace.
Okay. We're going to get into that detail, of course. I mean, there's no way we would have you in the studio and that would not be a conversation. But before we get to it, let's quickly just ask this question. We know what the resolution says. By now, you should be abreast with it. But one important part that got many talking was the reinstatement of commissioners who resigned. And that has raised plenty of questions. This is one that I am asking you. Should the commissioners who resigned return? Will it be an effective development? Let us know what your thoughts are on Facebook, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. That is the handle. Like the page, drop your comments, and let me come to my guest. And I think I'll just start with that one. Many people disagree. I mean, you are one of the commissioners who resigned. First, I think it's only appropriate we ask why you resigned. You said certain things in your letter of resignation. It wasn't really elaborate. But for the benefit of doubt, why did you resign?
To answer that question, I would say that we are now talking peace in Rivers State. And I've not seen a lot of change in the headlines. You know, before now it was crisis in Rivers State, violence in Rivers State, war in Rivers State, and so on and so forth. I would have thought that by now the narrative should have changed to talking about peace in Rivers State, progress in Rivers State, unity in Rivers State, and so on. Yeah, because as a people, we must move on. We cannot afford to play politics around the clock. You know, we had contestation as far as the election was concerned. So many parties, so many individuals wanted to be in the helm of affairs. And eventually the PDP won the election resoundingly. And for me, that should have been politics. That should have been, if you like, struggle for power, done with. And by now, we should be talking about accelerated growth and development of our state. Knowing that there are so many problems that confront us as a people. Some of them are traditional, some are emergent. And as you know, the world as a whole is in crisis. The country as a whole is in crisis. You know, whether it is crisis of hunger or poverty or lack of infrastructure, name it, insecurity and so on. We're just talking about the Plateau issue.
Yes.
Yes, 160 human beings dead because of problem. So for me, I think we should begin to deepen the conversation around peace and progress and prosperity.
You know, the popular saying.
We can't be going back and forth. Ordinarily, if you ask me, I don't want to talk about the issues of when we were at war.
It's not an issue of when we are at war.
When we were in crisis.
This is
when we had our issues.
Let's put it this way.
It was a strain. It was a strain, and thank God we are still standing strong today. You know, as a people, united,
yes,
and peaceful. So let's not go back to talk about things that happened in the past.
We're not, in contrary to the position you're holding, we're not going back. It's actually really forward.
We're going back because
it isn't. Because you've rightly said when I said, if you were still commissioner, I would have gotten...
The resignation thing happened before the peace accord.
Now there's a peace accord.
Yeah, so let's concentrate on that.
So you don't believe that in going forward you have to understand what went wrong in the past?
Not necessarily. But what I'm saying is that if you prioritize what happened in the past,
it's not a priority.
You're not likely to move forward.
We just need Rivers people to understand why what happened in the past happened, so that now that we've gone forward, we don't repeat the same mistake.
Yeah, because if we start mentioning those things,
yes,
if we start talking about the things that happened in the past, it might amount to opening old wounds. Because already we have said that we want to make progress. So if you ask me, let's not dwell on the things that happened before the peace accord. Let's focus on how to keep this peace and how we can leverage the peace to bring about the much needed development in our state.
That would be interesting. Clearly, that's what we are trying to do, and hence the reason why we're having this conversation. I was trying to get the resignation letter and see what the reason was, and then why we're asking, because now that we've gone forward, and part of the resolution involves commissioners, including yourself, to come back to service. The question a lot of people are asking is those things that you felt were the reasons why you resigned, which was in your letter. It was basically just said to be, was it personal reasons? I'm trying to get the exact point of it. It's the reason why I asked you the question, but then you haven't given us the benefit of telling us why. So I would get that detail and then put it out to the listener so we hear exactly what the issue is. Now, going forward, now that you've been recalled, many the conversation is we saw the governor give cards to the other commissioners, and that happened right after we had the agreement. Yeah. Yes, and many thought, well, if this is the way forward, we would expect that to come back. But then there were conversations of they were not sacked; they resigned willingly. They said that some of them, for integrity's sake and etc., chose to resign. So why would you now go back and bring a person who resigned who was not sacked? How does that work? Now we are in that mix. So would you even feel that the commissioners returning, including yourself, would still have a good working relationship? Is it going to be something that we can now have trust to say, oh, okay, we are here to serve Rivers people and follow the directives of the governor of Rivers State? Those questions are still there, whether we're going forward or not.
Yes, they will be there, but it depends on how we handle them.
Okay.
Now, part of the agreement was call them back, reappoint them commissioners. Well, that has not happened yet. We have not been reappointed. And I can tell you that even in marriages, sometimes a husband and a wife can go their different ways.
Yeah.
And then something happens and they are brought back together. They still manage to live their lives. Sometimes stronger and better than before they went their different ways. Because certain issues would have been looked into. Cautions, people would have been cautioned, advices, proffered, and all of that. So, for me, what has happened is that if, for example, tomorrow the governor decides to say, okay, fine, I reappoint them, come back and resume your offices, a number of things are likely to happen. It's possible that some people may say, we're not coming back. It's a possibility.
Because that's a question I was about to ask. The integrity situation about it.
Some others can say, okay, I'm going back because I have an unfinished business. There was something that led me to leave. Now I want to go back. And what is important is that there are qualifications and qualities that even qualify these individuals to be appointed in the first instance. Yeah, so you think that Gift Worlu can add value to this, and you bring him on board, and then somewhere along the line, there's a problem and he leaves. You still think that he still has that value to add. It's up to you to say, come back. But the point I'm making here is that as a state, there was a time that there was looming darkness. Darkness cannot drive away darkness, as you know. So people fighting, today is one thing, tomorrow is another crisis, tomorrow is another form of the crisis, and all of that. It can never bring about light. Now, light comes in to drive away darkness. And that is what has happened. That's why we're talking about the peace accord. That's why we're talking about resolution of crisis.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, because God intervened in the affairs of River State. Using Mr. President.
This light you're talking about, shouldn't it have been something that would have been known by all the political leaders to know that, we don't need darkness, we need light? When those actions were taken.
In nature, every day, and this is something that we all experience, but when it comes to applying it to certain things, it becomes a problem. Yeah. In nature, now we're in light. It's not. There's daybreak and we have light. Okay. By evening, there will be darkness.
But there's still moonlight.
Yeah, there must still be moonlight. And then after that, you will see other light. So we have had our issues. And like I said, thank God we have been able to surmount and overcome the strain and the stress. Now, we have shown that we're resilient people. We have shown that we can be our brother's keepers. You know, all of these things happen, and I can tell you that not many people didn't die, throughout this period. A lot of things that some people may have expected didn't happen. And that is because of the fact that we realize as Rivers people, whether you are upland or riverine, we are one people. We have a common destiny. We have our experiences in the context of Nigeria and the Nigerian states as a people. And then we know the things that try to divide us, and we know that we have bigger things that unite us. The way River State is structured, not now that people can make money and can run their economies online and all of that. In those good old days, the riverine man did not survive without the uplander, and vice versa. I recall in my Choba village those days, the riverine people from Calabar will bring their fishes and periwinkles and things like that to exchange.
But as much as we get the point you're making,
and all of that. Yeah, so that's how we have lived together.
I understand the fact that you're making these assertions now and citing these examples, even if many people will ask, where were these examples at that time? I asked you a question, if you remember, while you were Commissioner for Housing, and I'll ask you that question again now before we go on the break, because there's many more to ask. But this is it. I asked again where your loyalty was. If you remember when we had a conversation, I said, you loyal to this River State government, and are you following the leadership of the governor of River State? And you gave an answer at the time. But I want to ask you again now, are you going back if you go back? Because you have said some people might not. I don't know if you would want to go back. If you choose to go back, is it loyalty to River State government as dictated by the leadership of the governor of River State?
First, let me correct an impression. I didn't say that some people might not go. I said it's up to individuals.
Yes, exactly. Up to them. They might not want to go
these
back.
Are possibilities. It's up to individuals to decide whether they want to go back or not. Now, on the issue of loyalty, you see, when that discussion held and the matters arising therefrom, I was not very happy with your station because of the way the matter was handled. The truth of the matter is that if we want to tell ourselves the truth, I made the statement then that the governor had asked us as commissioners, and it's in the public domain. Your station carried the news when the governor was on in and read that charge to us that we should be loyal to the state, which ordinarily I think is something we should applaud. As a people, I listen to people, commentators on this station, talk about the need for people not to be loyal to individuals, but to the states. And then the governor, realizing that this is what the people want, now says, don't be loyal to me. Don't be loyal to anybody. Be loyal to the state. And I came here and repeated the same, that this was what the governor said to us.
The governor said be loyal to the state. He didn't say don't be loyal to me. He just said be loyal to Rivers people.
I can bring that tape for us to play.
But because of the
we should be loyal to the state. And that's what I told you that he told us.
Exactly.
Yes. And then,
so now I'm asking again, so we can make that correction, if there is any to be made. Are you loyal to Rivers State with regards to?
I'm not the commissioner.
No, if you go back, would you be?
Now. I'll be loyal to what or who the governor says I should be loyal to.
To what or who he says?
Yes.
Not his instructions.
Listen, we're talking about who I should be loyal to. You said, if the governor says to me,
he's the number one citizen of the state.
If the governor says to me, if the governor says to me, be loyal to me.
A short commercial. We would come back to this. Just hold on there.
Tertiary institution is stressful. But in the Hausa University
Nigeria Info Apostate. It's very interesting behind the mic. We've been having a back and forth, myself and Dr. Worlu. But then the question is still up there on Facebook, so let us get your reactions to it. If you're following the conversation, then you would know we've been discussing. The commissioners were resigned. One of the provisions of that resolution is that they return. My guest has said, well, probability. Some people might decide to, some people might not decide to. Everybody might not want to come. Everybody might also decide to come. It's up to the individual at the end of the day. But I would ask more. But before we went on the break, it was a back and forth we had with the question I asked. And I think I would need to repeat that question and put it in proper perspective so we get your response. In the meantime, if you have contributions and questions, you can use the WhatsApp number 0809 030 6416. I'll open the phone lines shortly as well. But let me come to my guest quickly with this. So I'm saying, if you decide to return, because the process involves, I think the resolution had that the names have to be resubmitted. I don't know if that has happened. Has that happened? Has the names been resubmitted?
I should be asking you. You are the journalist.
If
it is resubmitted,
the office will let us know. You are in the eye of the storm in this particular one.
You don't ask
okay,
me.
have you had meetings with the governor? Has there been calls from the governor say, let's sit down and have a conversation?
Are you listening to me? I'm saying that appointment of people into offices is not done secretly. The governor decides to appoint people into office, and he will transmit the information to the media houses. Sometimes people who are appointed hear that they have been appointed through the media.
So right now, no nominations again, nothing. We've not heard anything.
Have you heard?
I'm asking.
Have you heard?
You're in the space now.
If you have not heard, I've not heard.
Oh well. If that's how it is, but then if you go back, if you choose to accept and go back to become Commissioner of Housing, and this is the question again, would you be, because people have questioned whether or not you would be loyal to service of Rivers people under the leadership of the governor as it stands. If you go back to be commissioner, is that what it's going to be?
You know, you don't solve a problem with the level of thinking that created it. Do you know why we talk about issues of who you are loyal to in this part of the world? It's because we don't understand. The governor, then, in asking us to be loyal to the state, had gone higher than our normal level of thinking in this part of the world. He says, be loyal to the state. That presupposes that as the head of the state, as the governor of the state, if you're loyal to the state, there is no how you will not be loyal to him. And he didn't say be loyal to me. He said be loyal to the state. So
if you're loyal to the state means there's no how you cannot be loyal to the governor.
It's not possible.
So invariably, mathematically, you're saying you're loyal to the governor as well. If you go back to be commissioner.
That's a no-brainer. Or should be a no-brainer. When you ask the question, am I loyal to Mr. A or Mr. B? That's not the kind of question we should be asking. And in my answer, I told you, maybe thank God that the governor provided me that answer, that I should be loyal to the state. And that was my answer. And that remains my answer. If he changes this tomorrow to say, be loyal to me, or be loyal to Mr. XYZ, it's not up to me to decide whether I want to do that or not.
Okay. So the next thing would be whether or not you would choose to go back if the call comes. Do you see yourself going back to be Commissioner of Housing?
When that call is made, I will decide.
You make the decision then.
Yes.
All right. There's plenty of questions we'll get to. On Facebook first, I'll take a few of them, and then there's something I'll need to ask you as well before we open the phone lines with regards to what you look forward to in the incoming year. We're just a few days away from the new year. Dino Ujo says the governor should not reinstate them. They willfully resigned from their post. Nobody forced them. Other people should fill those vacant positions. Olorwe Prince Osaro says reinstating the commissioner who willfully resigned is unethical. Enege Chibram says they are done with their work. They humbly resigned and the law permits them to do so. The same law will not expect otherwise or allow them return. Collins Oyekachi says, I beg River State people don't want this set of people again. We're done with them. Vari says, reinstating them and men into the position they resigned, it will be shameful if they choose to even go back. And it will be seen as uncivilized. River State, you sent that one from here in Port Harcourt. All right. The Facebook post is up. Just go there. Plenty of comments. I wouldn't know how many more to take, but I'll do the best that I can to touch as much as possible. WhatsApp is also very much open, so send in those thoughts. I'll be taking them as well. The numbers to call are 0817002, 081930003, 08179230007. Quickly, are you concerned about how the decision of to not affect the perception of your integrity or the integrity of any other individual who resigned, with regards to the fact that the service is to the public and the public would be the ones to look at you and say, we don't trust you anymore. We don't think we can trust you. Is that a concern or should that be a worry?
You know, Andrew, we're a people who somehow enjoy state of uncertainty. And sometimes we create it ourselves. And you want to ask for what end? Here is a country where resignation before now was seen as a taboo. Yeah, it is said that Nigerians will not resign their appointments. Oh, because of what they're enjoying, this, that. Then suddenly people now resign. It becomes a problem for us again. That people resign. What kind of people are we? That's on the one hand. Let me tell you.
Well, the problem is not that you resigned. Just to correct the impression.
Now, let me tell
the problem for the people is not that you resigned, is that they are asked to call those who resigned back.
Even people who were sacked, if people are sacked from offices, something happened and somebody is sacked. We're talking peace. When you're talking peace, you know that an eye for an eye will bring about a world of blind people.
But many popular saying is fairness and justice. If you must have peace, and if you don't have that,
that fairness and justice means that when light comes, darkness gives way. If light has come in, darkness has to give way.
In this case, the light is
the fact that we now have peace that has driven away the crisis. Those who thought that they had something to benefit from the crisis, maybe they are feeling disappointed, maybe they are feeling that, because see, let me tell you the truth. I'm a member of the PDP in River State. I spent my money, my time, my energy, like other people, for us to achieve the victory that we now have in River State as a party. People did campaign. I was a member of the state campaign team. I was the alternate coordinator of campaign in my ward. We had sleepless nights. We discomforted ourselves because of what we believed in. And we won. And somehow, I want to imagine that after winning, somehow we became that proverbial man that brought home ant-infested faggot, brought a bunch of firewood with ants on it. And of course, lizards started visiting. And then somewhere along the line, we realized ourselves and said, look, let's take this bunch of firewood away, and together with it, the ants. Like I said, it was God that used him to intervene. And now we have successfully taken away the bunch of firewood. And with it, the lizard have disappeared. That's what we should be talking about. How do we keep this peace? How do we achieve the development that follows peace?
Let's quickly,
because I can tell you that during this period that we had this crisis, not much happened in the state in terms of development.
Let's go to the phone lines quickly now. 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0003. Those are the numbers to call. By the way, we're still going to come back to the very first question we started with, because we feel the people deserve to know. But let's start with this. I would still ask you, Doc. So when we get to that point, hopefully we get an answer this time. Because a lot of the messages coming in on WhatsApp and online are saying that we should ask you that question again. JJ is on the line. Let's start with JJ from Rumigbo. You might want to use the headphones. JJ, you are welcome. Good morning to you. Quickly with your question contribution.
Yes, let me greet your guest in the studio, Dr. Gift Worlu.
Good morning, JJ.
It's been very philosophical and more of religious too, talking about light and darkness. You were in the office before the proverbial darkness came. Why not remain and fight the darkness till the end, so that at the end of the day, we all be part of the light, since you stayed back? But that didn't happen. You resigned. And even though you have slightly answered the next question I want to ask, because we're taught in social studies that the state is abstract, and there are things or people you see as the state. And we're also told in our little social studies that the government, headed by the governor, the president, and all those, are those people we call the state. So if you are telling me that the governor during so instead you should be loyal to the state, what do you think is the meaning? And will you want to come back if you are called upon to come back? Because you have been making example of people who resign or people who sack. Maybe they sacked them for the wrong reason and they now saw that they are not the ones that did that thing and they decide to come back. But saying that Nigerians don't resign and people should clap for you because you resign, for what reason did you resign, sir?
All right, JJ, thank you. We'll come to that. We'll just take them in parts and take notes as well. Robin in a chair.
God bless you, Ifemi Andrew.
Yep, go ahead.
Greetings to the guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Ifemi Andrew. Until now, I've said it for opting time. And what is that? That we are a conquered people. Some may disagree with me, but we have been conquered. We're sitting down this morning discussing darkness and light. Like JJ posed a question. You are inside the room and the light went off. What you do is to run away from the compound. Instead of you to look for matches or to look for how to lift back the room. And today we are discussing light is back through the president. Do your guests understand that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is an interested party in the matter? And he cannot be a judge in his own court. Does he know that people of Rivers State, as he is saying that a past sleepless night campaign, spend his money and time?
Hello, Robin.
It's unfortunate that we have found ourselves where we are. If you have resigned, I want to advise you, my brother, stay at home and look for something to do. After all, when they last in the state we are all kidnapped, you are commissioner for housing. Never made any comment before you resign.
All right, we lost that call. Robin, you can do well to send a message or reach back to us. Let's go to our Rumo Krushi. Emmanuel on the line.
Yes, Andrew, good morning.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. In fact, the topic we are just discussing is very, very interesting. You see, ordinarily, in a certain environment, when somebody resigns from his position, the person can be recalled back after a proper assessment. You look at the capacity and what the person is going to contribute further. But in the circumstance under which this commissioner resigns, none of them should come back. Because it has to do with integrity. It is a very big mistake to recall any of them. Let us take an example. So let the the governor, be careful. There are a lot of brains, very capable hands, competent persons. If you come to NBA, there are many of them. You go to LMO, Nigerian Medical Association, there are many. In fact, let me take an example of the Commissioner for Health. You see, it's just a new person, and the woman is dragging that health sector very well. These are the kind of people we need. So let the governor try and select people outside those that have resigned. None of these people that have resigned as commissioners should be called back. It's a conflict of integrity.
All right, thank
Under
you.
the present circumstances, they resign.
All right, Chizuru Inoyigbo. Morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Well,
Good morning, dear guest, doctor.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to follow the adage you gave. Now, see it this way. You are in a battle with your army and your enemies are approaching. Suddenly, you backslided. You left most of your men at the war front and go. At the end, you came back to look for Suk to reinstate. They don't have any other stake. They have names. They should respect their capability if they have any. Let them go back home and strategize and come back. That's number one. Number two, having resigned your appointment, you there means you have a better option before you leave your present seat. So go to that your juicy option and don't go back to your vomit. Now, my advice is, if they go back, we will have more crises in River State.
all right, Chizuru, thank you. Okwandu Iniriebe, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
All right, go ahead.
Good morning to the doctor in your studio.
Good morning.
You see, the analogy of light and darkness by your death. I am still in the sea. I don't understand. As a matter of fact, when he and other people were arrested, they cited conscious and very palatable reasons behind it. I wonder why he is thinking of recording that him back to the state council again as the commissioner of war. What happened to the conscience now? This area, let me tell you, sometimes when I look at the analogy of people who should be law, who their work should be law in issues of Nigeria, I became so very surprised. A professor or a PhD holder, I usually get annoyed.
Okwandu, I think we got much from what you said, even though it wasn't very clear.
I want to say that I want to really ask a question about your guest in studio.
All right.
I think, if I remember, I think they served in the administration of the former governor, EMK, and also they see appoint him as also commissioner in this in the cabinet of Governor Sim Fubara, and he also resigned because of one or two reasons. According to them, most of them also resigned because they make a statement because of one or two reasons. I think for me, if I have integrity, maybe I should say some of you will come back. For me, I will not come back because you have served for the administration of the former governor, and he came back again. He served under the present governor, and you resign by yourself. Most of you who resign is most of you that serve and under administration of former governor Wike, and you come back again to serve under this present governor. And you resign by yourself. No need for you people to come back. There is other people there. Other government to appoint.
Point made. Thank you very much. We already get your point. We heard. All right, let me come back to my guests because most of the messages on Facebook stating the same thing. Why should the governor reinstate them? They've resigned. Let them go. Jacob says the same thing. The man in the studio has been economical with the truth. He's not glorifying things he used to condemn and condemning the things he used to support. Wechu Nwuche says there should be equity in the appointment of commissioners now. The governor should not allow... I can't take that part. But you see it. And the question still comes, why did you resign? People are still asking, why did you resign? I looked at your letter now and it says, if I read it, it says personal reasons that require my immediate attention. So, what's your response?
Let me correct an impression. I didn't serve in Wike's
yes,
administration.
you have to correct that too.
Number two is that it was not a situation of war where you have enemies on both sides. It was disagreement within the PDP in Rivers State. And it happens that the PDP is the government, is the party that has formed the government. So it affects Rivers State. If this issue to be in Labour Party, for example, it wouldn't have taken this form. I'm sure you'll agree with me. It would not have taken this form. People would not have bothered. If somebody resigned from let's say the Labour Party today, it will not make news. Now, like I said before, we have settled the matter. We have. A lot of people don't seem to understand that we're no longer talking about the crisis. We're talking about sustaining the peace.
The people you are loyal to, or you said the state you're loyal to just wants to know why.
Everybody should begin to talk about how do we sustain the peace? How do we keep the peace? And it has to come through understanding. And I want to say here that I respect the opinion of everybody because they are so entitled to their opinions. And I want people to also respect my own opinion. I'm not saying agree with me. You must not agree with me. Yes. You don't agree with me, I still respect your opinion. I don't agree with you, or my opinion does not resonate with you, respect it. It is my opinion.
So let me say, they need to respect the fact that you might not want to go into what is past with regards to telling why you resigned and whether all have changed.
Yeah, they have to respect all of those. And like I said, even if we were sacked, let us assume that something happened and we were asked to go, dismissed. And then upon the consideration of other facts, I know of people who have been jailed. And then they now look at the matter again. And they say, no, I think we made the wrong decision in asking this person to go to jail. And they reverse it. It happens. Sometimes 20 years would have passed. And the person is now...
Very possible.
Yes. So what has happened here is that people resign, citing several reasons. And now, because it was a crisis period, some people intervened. And I know that Nigerians were calling for Mr. President to intervene. People were asking that can something be done by the party? Can something be done by somebody else?
Exactly.
And all of that.
A critical question I want to ask.
Eventually, we now have peace. And
so let's respect it.
The same people are now trying to take us back.
As a member of the PDP, are you worried that the lawmakers in the House who are to go back to the House are now with the APC? Does that worry you? Few seconds. Are you bothered about that and what that might mean for the PDP in the coming years?
You know, in inviting me here, you told me we were coming to look at the expectations following the resolution.
Yes.
How does this resemble expectation following resolution? You are still going back to the crisis period.
It's not the crisis.
It is.
Now we're out of time officially and we didn't get an answer to that. All right. Thank you very much.
A lot like Christmas.
Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution.